Okay, y'all. So welcome back to my channel. How's it going? We're trying a different angle today because it was suggested. It was actually a very good suggestion, by the way. Give me 1 second. Oh. So, as you can see, my Princess Leia apron. Oh, rocking it. I'm going to show you guys how to make rice. Well, how I make rice. There's Edge right over there. How I make rice fast and easy for whenever I'm making dinner. Tonight we're gonna have a guiso with beans and rice. So I'm gonna show you how I make my rice. Once again, just to let you know, everybody makes rice differently. Not everybody makes rice the same. Not everybody's gonna go ahead and do or use the exact same ingredients. My boss, my mother from my adopted mother, she goes ahead and she uses Rotel in her rice, and it comes out really, really good. But we're not going to do that because it takes too much time. But it's just a suggestion. This rice is supposed to take you about 20 minutes to go ahead and cook. The things that you will need are Knorr. You could go ahead and use the caldo de tomate, which is the one I prefer because you want the tomate color to go into your rice. Ground cumin. You don't use a lot of it for me because I don't really like a lot of ground cumin, but you do use some. Onion powder, which you also depends on how much onion you like. If you like a lot of onion, you could go ahead and use a lot of onion. If you want to cut up some real onions and put them in your rice while it's like frying, you're more than welcome to. But this, whenever you have the heat, right now it's on medium high heat. I have the burner in the back on high, and I'll tell you why here in a minute. So whenever you're going ahead and using a pan, this is my Old Faithful pan that I use for whenever I'm making rice. As you can see, it's already worn out, or you can't see it, but it's already worn out, so I can't tell you how much quarts or stuff like that. But in here is supposed to be 1 cup of rice, 2 cups of water, okay? And initially what you want to do when you start is just to make sure, I already have everything prepped, so you can see I'm just going to dump it all in, and then I'll show you from there. You're going to need a lid. It doesn't have to be glass, it could be just the same lid. And of course you could go ahead and use a timer when you're doing it. So what you want to do is put oil into, oh my goodness, put oil into your pan. It's like I'm lost, completely lost. I used to work at Massage Envy and they gave us these cute water bottles. So I just use them as my oil bottle. So about a tablespoon, if not a little bit less, than of oil. You want it to get nice and warm. You have your cup of rice already ready. Your cup of rice, okay? In this little measuring cup, it's a 1/4 cup. It's not all the way as you can see. I measured 1 tablespoon. I use these. This is like a regular table soup spoon or whatever you use it. Whenever you're Mexican, sometimes you don't have measuring things. I do have measuring things, but it's usually one about these. Yeah. 1 full of the Knorr. Then you go ahead and you do a couple of dashes of the ground cumin. Or if you want more, like I said, you add more. And the onion, depending on how much you want. So once the oil's on there, you go ahead and you put the rice. And then quickly, because it's on medium, you can start hearing it bubble. So you don't want it to go ahead and burn because then it'll start turning into popcorn. You want it just to go ahead and be brown. Get a little brown in there. Once it's brown, you'll add the water. Now when you're adding the water, you don't want to add cold water to hot rice. You want to make sure that the water, if it's not lukewarm, that it is hot water. 2 cups of water for 1 cup of rice. You just go ahead and stir it until it's nice and brown. You can start going ahead and seeing it. This takes some time, so please don't rush it, because if you end up going ahead and turning it on high, you're going to start burning the rice, and then you're going to have rice that tastes burnt, and you don't want that. So as you're going ahead and mixing it, you're mixing it all over. It's going to get coated with oil and stuff. You can leave it there for a minute. Get your water already ready. Now, whenever you're going ahead and putting your water, see, this is 2 cups of water. 2 cups of water. Whenever you pour the water in, and then you pour the seasoning and you mix it to where it's all nice and mixed, so you can see it's all blended out. You want to go ahead and transfer this onto something that's already hot. Let it boil, and as soon as it boils, you go ahead and you turn it on low, cover it, and put your timer for about 20 minutes. Once again, you don't want to go ahead and do anything crazy with the rice because you don't want to mix it or anything like that. Because if you mix it, it gets ruined and then it becomes squishy once the water is in there, of course. So you just want to make sure that you keep on going ahead and cooking it till it's nice and brown. Like a nice golden brown. And you'll smell the rice. Like you'll start smelling it cooking and stuff like that. But you don't want it overcooked. You don't want it black. If you have it black, then it's not going to work. Okay? And what you do is you're going to go ahead and put your water in. I usually put my water in, but you need to be very, very careful. Because oil and water will start to pop. So be careful when you do that. Stir it, stir it, stir it. And then what you want to do is you want to go ahead and get your seasonings that you've already gone ahead and prepped. Put it in there. And then just go ahead and mix it. You don't want any clumps from the Knorr. Do you see the clump? I know you saw the clump. See? You need to break everything down because you want to make sure that everything is mixed. Because if you end up leaving any clumps when you're going ahead and making the rice, any clumps of the Knorr or any clumps of the onion or any clumps of the cumin, what's going to end up happening is somebody's going to take a bite of it and it's going to taste like nothing but that specific ingredient. So you want to make sure that it's broken down. Then you move it to the back burner, which is already on high. This is another meal that I'm making. I'm making the Guiso in the crock pot, so I didn't show you guys how to make it from scratch, which I will show you in another video how to make Guiso from scratch. But right now we're using the Instapot because remember, it's Thursday. We're trying to get dinner on the table so everybody can eat, and we're set to go. Now, once that starts boiling, you're gonna go ahead and put the top on there. You preferably want the top not to have a little hole or anything like that. You want it to go ahead and be a solid lid, like where it has nothing that can go ahead and open at any point. Here you can see it starting to boil. You can give it one little last mix, and then boil, 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 boil. There. And then bring it down to low. Set your timer to 20 minutes. Now, just because you set your timer to 20 minutes doesn't necessarily mean that your rice is going to be done in 20 minutes. It could actually be done a lot sooner than 20 minutes. So you want to just keep an eye on it. Because you can kind of see that's why it's good to have glass lids. Because you can see that there's still water in there. Once it starts drying up, that's when you want to go ahead and take it off the burner and then just leave it somewhere to rest. You want your rice to rest after it's been cooked. You don't serve it as soon as it's done. You let it rest, and then it'll be prepared. So that's sometimes the first thing that I make before I make anything else. Sometimes it'll be the last thing that I make because it's 20 minutes, but I still need time for it to rest, about 5 minutes, because you still want it to go ahead and at least rest that much. And then I'll be back to show you the final product once it's already been cooked, and then I'll show you the final product once it's already been served. Okay, so as you can see, some of the rice has already gone ahead and dried out a little. There's still like about 6 minutes left. You can kind of still gauge it though, that it still has water. So you can probably at the 4-minute mark, I'll probably remove it and put it somewhere else to let it rest. So that way it'll absorb the rest of the water and then that's it. So that way it'll be ready. Because it's still about 6:30 right now. I still have about 30 more minutes before I have to finish my dinner for everybody. So this is just beans. I'm making beans and rice and then the Guiso. So if you have a crock pot, or an Instapot, or even a crock pot, you could go ahead and make your beans overnight, and then you could just have them ready for the next day, so whenever you're cooking something. The crock pot, usually just put beans with water after you clean them, rinse them out a couple of times. Beans, fill it up with water, Add salt, probably about a tablespoon of salt, if not a little bit less, depending on if you like salt or not. And then some garlic, a couple of little heads of garlic. Is that a head or a bulb? The little one over there. Not the entire thing, just like 2 or 3 of these things. I'll get better at knowing what the measurements are and stuff like that. And then just leave it there on low overnight. Just make sure that in the morning when you check it out, it has water. The crock pot or the Instapot, you can go ahead and make beans in 40 minutes. Same way, add beans, add water, garlic, salt. So these beans have already been made since yesterday. So I'm just heating them up. I'm gonna add a little bit of cheese, and then I'm gonna crush them first, then I'm gonna add a little bit of cheese, and that'll add to my entire recipe going on. So there's 4 minutes left, so at this point right now, there's only a little bit of water left, so I'm gonna go ahead and grab it, set it aside. I already have a oven mitt ready, and then I'm just gonna let it rest for about 5 to 10 minutes while I'm making the beans and while the guiso's finishing. And I'll be right back to show you. Okay, so we finally finished. The beans are already done. The guiso just ended up finishing, so I'm gonna go ahead and plate this for you just so that way you can see. But I wanted to go ahead and show you the rice. After it's been sitting, you can see after it's been sitting for a couple of minutes, not a couple of minutes, it's like 10 minutes. It's still hot because it had the lid on there. And it doesn't have any water. So then what we're gonna do is we're gonna plate it. So that way you guys can see. Start with the guiso first. Yes. We're gonna go ahead and add a little beans. Oh, I kind of spilled it, but you know you always end up making little mistakes here and there. Nothing's ever perfect. And then of course, the rice. And there you go. Rice was done in 20 minutes. There's the beans, there's the guiso, and it's ready to go. And it is actually 7 o'clock. So as you can see, this is an easy, fast, quick meal you could go ahead and make, especially during Monday through Friday, because I know most people like I do, I go to work from 9 to 5 and then I come home. So if you have the stuff already ready, you could just mix everything, all of that stuff up, and then just make your food. But if you have any questions, comments, leave them on the comment section below, and then I'll go ahead and get to them. And enjoy your meal. Thank you.